One of the most common questions that I hear is, how do I know if I've saved enough for retirement? Well, if you've been watching my videos, you know I think that's probably the wrong first question to ask. Even though it's a fair question in our retirement planning, is it really where we should start? Because I believe we've been trained to start in the wrong place. We start with the money. But really, before we can answer the question of whether or not we've saved enough, we have to ask the question, enough for what? I'm Sherry from SherryLouMiller.com, and I've been discussing not just retirement and your third act, but what life do you want to live in that season, and how are you going to fund that lifestyle? In this video today, we're going to take it back. We're going to roll it back to the beginning and talk about not do you have enough saved, but what does enough look like for the life you're trying to live? So for years, we all have spun around and circled the drain of that question, if we saved enough. But enough is relative. You can have two people have saved the exact same amount, but their feeling towards the money isn't the same. One could be anxious and one could be thinking they're living on top of the world, because money is relative. And we don't really know if it's enough until we think about our situation, our life, not this number that we're trying to reach, but our life. So just think about if it's, like I said, two women, and they've both saved $500,000. But one wants to travel the world, some solo travel, some group travel, but she has decided in this third act or in retirement that this is the lifestyle she wants. While the other woman, she has decided to downsize her home. She wants to live a quieter life. Maybe she's going to go play mahjong. Maybe she's going to garden. She just wants a simpler, quieter life in this season. So two women have saved the exact same amount of money, and asking the question, do they have enough? We don't really know, because you'd actually have to break down the numbers for what each one wants, even though they've saved the same amount. So I think that we have been reverse engineering our lives. We're really taught to start this retirement planning backwards. We come up with this number that we think we need, and then we try to squeeze our life for the life that we want to live inside of that number, inside of that container, instead of sitting down, figuring out what lifestyle we want to live in this season and how much money will that take. Because I think life is first, money is second, and in our story, money is a supporting character. It is not the main character. You are the main character. So how can money support you and the life that you want? So based on that, before we start talking about money, how much you need to save and everything, you need to take inventory of your life. Not the life you were living 10 years ago, not the life that you thought you wanted to live in this season, but the life that you are living now, and factoring in the things that you want to do in the future. But you have to start in the present moment, starting where you are now, embracing this version of yourself and welcoming, I don't really like the term future version of yourself, but we're all evolving and our dreams and desires may change. So you just factor in a buffer to be able to accommodate the changes that may occur while you're still on this journey. So I've created a HTML file that will allow you to go through various questions and just figure out what is it that you want in this season. Take an inventory of your life. Don't think about the money, none of that. Just what is it that you want in this season? So I'm going to tell a story about my mother just to illustrate this. So my mother she left her job. She retired at age 62, and she had a small pension as well as her Social Security benefits. So that would have been like mid-80s because I was still in college. So she was able to live that life, she traveled some. She used to like to work in the yard, in the garden. She did what she wanted to do. but she didn't live an elaborate lifestyle. She didn't carry a lot of debt. So what she had supported the life she was living because she wasn't living in an extravagant lifestyle. Now, fast forward to about 2004, she received a 5-figure inheritance when her sister passed. It wasn't a lot of money. I'm not going to tell how much, but it wasn't a lot of money. She passed in 2014, and she still had some of that inheritance. One, because her house was paid for, which housing is typically one of our largest expenses. She no longer had a car. So her overhead was minimum, except during the winter because she kept that house like a sauna. But overall, her expenses were lower. So not only was she able to live on her pension and her retirement benefits, she was able to use the inheritance as sort of a buffer. And when she passed in 2014, because I did her finances in the last few years before she passed, she still had some of that inheritance. And like I said, it wasn't a lot, but you take it and you divide it over 10 years and she still had some, which means how much money you have is relative. Because if you inserted me into that same scenario, I have rent. I no longer have a car note, but 2 years ago, well, not even 2 years ago because my car was paid for, but I still had the expenses of a car. But if I took what she had, or even if I take my own Social Security benefits, I don't have a pension and I couldn't draw it anyway. I'm not 65. But if I took that and the amount of the inheritance that she received, it wouldn't last me 10 years. We live 2 different lifestyles. We have different overhead. So when you're asking this question, do I have enough? You can't really compare it to what they're saying on the internet, what people are recommending, because they don't know your life. They don't know your expenses. They don't know your dreams. They don't know your desires. And that number means nothing to your lifestyle. It just doesn't. Because I could take what she had and apply it to my life, and it wouldn't last 10 years. It wouldn't. But it lasts her 10 years because we wanted different things. She wasn't thinking of traveling the world, to my knowledge. She did travel some, but it was still within the United States. Most of the time she traveled, she was staying with friends and family, whereas when I travel, I have hotel, I have the cost of meals, all the things that come with it. And for a time period, my sister worked for the airlines, so she was flying for free. So all of these things, as I'm trying to illustrate, your circumstances are unique to you. So until you take inventory of your life and know what you want in this season, how can you ask, do you have enough saved? So in the description, there's a link to download the Life Inventory HTML file. Is free. And when you're going through it, just allow yourself to just maybe think, whatever they always say, think like your child self. Because back then, we didn't allow life to really interfere with what we wanted. We just dreamed big. As we got to be adults, then we start factoring in all these external things. So when you're going through the worksheet, just answer the questions and think about what you want from this season. Not how much it's going to cost, not how much you've saved, just the lifestyle that you want. And then in the next video, we'll go through resourcing and funding that life. But for right now, figure out the life that you want. That's the first step. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.